Welcome to the Black Educated Tea Podcast. I'm your host, Makeda Marie, and today's topic of discussion is minority mental health. But as always, before we get into the tea, let's get into the tea. So today, I'm actually drinking a juice. So I'm drinking a pineapple express juice. It has cucumber, spinach, kale, celery, apple, pineapple, and ginger. So that is what I'm drinking today. I have my juice with me, really good. I love my green juices. So that is what I'm drinking today. So let's go ahead and get into this really serious topic. So, of course, it is July. So this is the month of minority mental health awareness. And we, of course, we should focus on this every month, every day throughout the year. But July is really huge for this. And we can really thank B.B. Moore Campbell. She is an author, and she was a huge advocate for minority mental health. So in July, we celebrate this to definitely bring awareness to it because it is so much needed in our community. And I was just recently looking on some statistics and some research on it. You know, I'm a really huge researcher, and I just love to look at statistics and see what's really going on. And the numbers and the information that I saw was just so alarming. As of 2019, and you could say from like ages 15 to 24, the numbers for suicide are just out of this world. Suicide is actually the second leading cause of death for blacks. Wow. Just wow. I mean, just hearing that alone just really left me speechless. And to go even further, young ladies, ages, I guess you could say probably ages 13 through 17, but we could just say grades 9 through 12, are 60% more likely to try to commit suicide. Wow. I mean, when I read those numbers, I had to stop. I had to take a pause. I had to really just reflect and think that minority mental health is a huge issue in our community. And I often just wonder, are we really focusing on it as we should? And, you know, based on statistics, I'm really huge on statistics, but, you know, they're not always 100%, of course. So I really just wonder how many of us are really doing our mental health check-in. And that is really the shirt that I have on. How many of us are doing our mental, health check-in? Because our mental is so important. And I don't think a lot of times we focus on it as we should. We focus on our physical, of course, a lot of times we may watch the things that we're trying to eat. We may do exercise. But I don't know if we focus on our mental as much as we should. I can say at one point in my life, I didn't. I tried to focus on the physical, of course, the external. I wanted to make sure my external was looking good, and I wasn't so much focusing on my internal, and especially not my mental. I think about the time I reached age 30, I started focusing on it a little bit, but I still wasn't as in tune as I am now with my mental health. So I really want us all to start focusing and get centered on our mental health because it is really important. So with this being the month of mental health awareness for minorities, this is a stepping stone. So this is a foundation where we can start now. But this is something that we can continue to do throughout the year, throughout each month, every day. Focus on your mental. Where are you at mentally? Where are you at mentally? And for me, I can, only give my opinion on it. For me, I think I had several wake-up calls, I can say. One of my wake-up calls was when I knew mentally, something just wasn't right. I was suffering from depression, and I don't think I even realized it until I had a wake-up call. One of my wake-up calls was I was accomplishing all these things in life. Money-wise, business-wise, education-wise, and I was still not happy. I was still not fulfilled. And so what continued to happen was I continued to put more and more on my plate and try to accomplish more and more and do more and more. If I make more money, I'm going to be happier. If I get an extra degree, I'm going to be happier. If I get a better job, I'm going to be happy. And as I continued to get those things, I was still not happy. That was one of my wake-up calls. Because I was like, I can have every degree under the sun. I can make X amount of money. I can have the best position, and I still wasn't happy, and I wondered why. And it took me a long time to realize that a lot of those things just wasn't fulfilling me, because it wasn't bringing me joy, it wasn't bringing me happiness, it wasn't bringing me peace. And for me, just simply being out in nature would bring me more peace and happiness than money ever could. Spending time with family and friends was bringing me more happiness and joy than that career ever could. And so I was trying to fill that void with things that, you know, career-wise, education-wise, money-wise, and it just was not working. So that was one wake-up call for me. I had to really realize what is fulfilling to me. What is going to get me out of this depression state? Because what I was doing wasn't working. It was not working. Trying to do all of these external things, it was just not working. And I thought it would. I thought the more I achieved, the more I accomplished, that at some point it was going to make me happier, and it just didn't. So that was one of my wake-up calls right there. And so I actually did start getting counseling, and I started seeing a therapist. My second wake-up call came from my therapist. So I was really inconsistent with my counseling sessions. And so she sent me an email, and in the email, it was really a wake-up call for me, because, and she put it out there, and I needed it. I really needed it. And her words were, you know, somewhat of, if you cannot be consistent with your sessions, then we will not see progress, and I can't no longer be your therapist. So that let me know that I was being inconsistent with everything in my life when it came to my counseling sessions, when it came to just other things in life. I was being so inconsistent and just procrastinating on it. So when she told me that, it took me back for a minute, but I was like, she's 100% right. I wasn't consistent with my sessions. How was I going to improve mentally if I couldn't even be focused on my sessions and put my all into it? I would go to a session one month and then have to skip the next month because something came up. I was putting everything else before my mental health. And so when she sent me that, it was a wake-up call for me, because it was like, wow, Makeda, you are not only being inconsistent with your counseling and your mental health, but this is a reflection that you're being inconsistent with everything else in your life. So that was another wake-up call for me. And I mean, I've had various other wake-up calls, but I think those were the two most important wake-up calls for me that helped me to realize that, okay, time to make some changes in your life. Time to make some changes, time to make some improvements. And I don't care what state you are in your life, what level you are, you can always have room for improvements. You know, I kind of side-eye people when they say, oh, I'm fine, I don't need any improvements, or I don't, you know, I'm just fine. Which may be right, because I'm not a therapist. I can't tell someone if they're all right or not. But the thing that catches me off guard when you say, oh, I don't need any improvements, you know, my life is just perfect, or, you know, everything is just, I don't care what state you are in your life. There's always room for improvements. There's always room to get your mental health checked on. Even if you just finished therapy, there's still room for improvements in your life, no matter what it is. And I will continue to say, as long as I am here, I still have room for improvement in my life. I don't care what it is, whether it's with communication or whether it's with being on time for something. I mean, I think I'm pretty good. I'm usually like the one that's early for the party, you know. So I might be okay on that one. But there's just some other things in my life that I can definitely improve on. As I get older, as I expand my mind and my knowledge, there's always going to be room for improvement. And that goes for any and all of us. We can all improve some things in our life. So don't ever think that, because if you're saying that I don't need any improvements in my life, I don't need any change, you're kind of saying like you're perfect. And there's no such thing. There's definitely no such thing as being perfect. So I really want us to humble ourselves and get our mental health. Please get it. Check in. Just check in from time to time to make sure mentally you are okay. With our day-to-day hustle and bustle and just life in general, and when you're adulting, or even as a teenager, or no matter what age you are, let's get our mental health checked on. And as for parents, it is our job to make sure that mentally our kids are okay. Because they may not come to us and express how they feel. They may not even know how to. So as parents, we have to make sure that mentally our kids are okay. As an adult, you are responsible for your mental health. But when you have young kids, it is our responsibility as parents to make sure that mentally they are okay. As an adult, it falls on you. And we can't no longer, as an adult, say, oh, this happened to me at 10. I will never say that things that happened in our past doesn't influence our future, our present, where we're at in life right now. But how long are we going to keep using those excuses of what happened to me when I was 10, what happened to me at 15, and now I'm 50? At some point, you have to move on. At some point, you have to forgive. You have to let go, just for your mental stability. There are plenty of things that I have encountered throughout my life, and I can no longer use certain things as an excuse anymore. Because when I use it as an excuse, I'm using it as a blockage, and I'm also using it as a reason to not push forward in my life. So let's stop with the excuses. Let's stop with it. And that goes for me as well. I have to stop with the excuses and just make sure mentally I'm okay. And I cannot change what happened in the past. I cannot focus on that. But I can, from now on, make a decision to move forward in my life. And we have to stop with the excuses. And getting counseling is not always easy because, I mean, it does cost. And if you don't have the insurance, you know, it can get difficult to pay out of pocket. So I would definitely say, you know, if you do have an employer that offers, you know, you insurance, check out on your insurance and see if you can get those services. And then a lot of employers actually offer EAP assistance as well, where you can go through your job and also get it. So just find different resources because there are tools available out there. But I know that it can get pricey, and you know there's a lot of other factors as well. But let's please try to find productive ways to check on our mental health. Because I knew that mental health was a problem in our community. I just wasn't as aware of the numbers until I started doing the research on it and started looking deeper and deeper into it. And I was like, man, the second leading cause of death. And our young ladies from 9th to 12th grade are 60% more likely. And then another thing that really just floored me, which I knew very well to be true because I have experienced it myself as a young black lady, when we do go out to get services, at times we may not get the best services. We don't get the best quality service. So that is also another unfortunate thing that, you know, when we do go out to get services. Thankfully, I have a really good therapist. She is absolutely amazing. So I am very grateful for her. But there's been other instances, and those health disparities definitely show up when I'm, you know, going to get certain services. And as a young black woman, I feel like I'm not getting the same service as, let's just say, a young white lady. You know, let's just be real here. So, you know, there's a lot of factors that do come into play when you're looking at mental health. But let's make it our responsibility, starting with this month, since it is the Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Let's start with this month, which is doing a mental check-in, focusing on our mental. Because you would be surprised how mentally, when you're unstable and there's so many things going on mentally, how it affects the rest of your life, or how it just affects the rest of you. It affects your being. Mentally, when you're not where you want to be, it affects you in so many ways. It affects you mentally, emotionally, just so many different ways. So let's start, you know, checking on our mental health so we can definitely be the best, you know, we can be. As I always say, this is definitely the year that we want to continue to strive, could grow, and improve. So let's just focus on our mental health. Let's get a start there. And find the best resource or the best tool for you. Whether it's counseling, as I've stated in previous videos, the self-help books, or, you know, family and friends. But it does not beat having a licensed therapist that can really just sit down and focus on you. So have a combination of all of them. You know, if you have that family or friend that you can really just talk to for advice, you know, if you love the self-help books, but, you know, nothing can really beat just having a licensed therapist that is really, you know, can be centered and focused on you. That's what they specialize in. So, but just, you know, always just find the best tool, the best resource for you. And I'm definitely, you know, focusing on my mental health this month and throughout the year as I continue my therapy sessions, because I can really just see the growth. I can really just see the change, especially now that I'm consistent with it. You know, when you're inconsistent with it, you're not going to get the best results. But the fact that I am a lot more consistent with it, I am seeing the changes, and, you know, the outcomes are improving. So I want you, everyone out there, please check on your mental health now. It is never too late, but let's start now if we can. Make it a priority, just as we make so many other things in our life a priority. Go ahead and make it a priority. And as always, this is the Black Educated Tea Podcast.